The only way I manage to eat healthy during the week is by having a few meals in my pocket that I can make without thinking. This one ticks every box. High protein, high fiber, loaded with anti-inflammatory ingredients, all in one pan. And it's flexible enough to use up whatever's in your fridge. This is the kind of meal that feels like comfort food, but it's actually looking after your health. When you're doing quick meals, you need to get your quick hat on. This is something that my mate Jamie taught myself and most of the UK when he did his 20-minute meals and 30-minute meals. You want to start off with the most time-intensive step, which in this case is soaking the lentils. These will take about 15 minutes, but that's going to give me enough time for the kettle to boil and for me to make a paste. And I know what you're thinking.
There's no way I'm making a paste on a Wednesday.
It's happening. Roughly chop your tomatoes. I'm going to add a little thumb of ginger. Quickly peel your garlic. In that goes. A couple of teaspoons of chili, depending on how hot you like it. And then we're going to add a roughly chopped onion. Chop, chop. Desiccated coconut, again, a couple of teaspoons. Good pinch of salt, black pepper, lid on. And there you go, that is your paste done in less than 5 minutes. And there is something magical about making a paste from scratch that you won't get from a store-bought paste. But if you're feeling really lazy, there are some good quality pastes that you can buy in stores. There are 3 things I would definitely look out for. Number 1, excess sugar. Make sure this does not have a ton of sugar in them. I'm looking for one that has less than 5 grams of sugar per 100 grams of product. Number 2, make sure that it is free from additives, stabilizers, gelling agents. These are not great for your gut. And number 3, you want to be able to recognize the ingredients in the paste. This one, for example, has garlic, ginger, white wine vinegar, Kashmiri chili, etc. I recognize all these ingredients, and it's essentially what I would put in a paste, making it from scratch. The difference between these two is that this is already cooked, so those ingredients have been stewed down, fixed in oil, and then put on a shelf. This is raw. We're about to cook it off fresh, so we're going to get the maximum benefits from all the ingredients that we've just put in this. Whilst my pan is getting to a low medium heat, I'm going to drain these. You can tell from just soaking them for 10 to 15 minutes, the lentils have become slightly softer. That makes them a lot more digestible. They've reduced some of their anti-nutrients that can be troublesome for certain people who are not used to eating things like lentils or high fiber ingredients. And it also just speeds up the process of cooking them when we're putting it into our 1-pan curry. So I've washed and drained my lentils here, and we're going to use some coconut oil as the base fat. Coconut oil is a bit controversial. It has been shown in some studies to raise LDL cholesterol, so the blood level of cholesterol that we want to keep low to reduce our risk of cardiovascular disease. So I use about a tablespoon or so because I want the flavor of coconut to permeate through the dish. But if you are sensitive to coconut oil in your diet, or you do have high cholesterol, then you might want to opt for a neutral oil, something like olive oil, because the spices are going to overpower the oil anyway. Coconut oil goes in, and this is where our quick cooking starts. So I always have a dabba in my kitchen. A dabba is basically a spice box, and it is phenomenal. It's got everything that I need to make an Indian curry, and it really does pay dividends when you've got a good spice rack or a spice drawer at home. So you can quickly just add spices that add so much flavor and make healthy cooking that much more enjoyable. So we're going to go in with mustard seeds, cumin seeds, star anise, turmeric powder. You want to get your spices tempering, which is basically where you're just lightly cooking it, bringing out those essential oils and all those extra benefits. And your kitchen is going to smell incredible at this point. And you'll notice all the ingredients that we have in this long list have already gone in the pan. It literally took 30 seconds. Now, you don't want your spices to burn, so just keep an eye out because it only takes around a minute or so. And if you feel that it's getting a little bit hot, just take it off the heat and then bring it back on. It's totally fine. You're not going to ruin anything. Now we're going to cook off the raw ingredients in our quickly made spice paste. This is one of the most popular recipes on the Doctor's Kitchen app. We've had so much feedback from people using this. We're going to be cooking off the raw garlic and the raw onion, and it's going to take around 3 to 4 minutes on a low to medium heat. Whilst this is cooking, I'll take the time to just clean down the rest of my kitchen. That way I don't have a massive load of washing up at the end of cooking a meal. And that is how to make midweek cooking less of a chore. We're going to go in with the rest of our ingredients. In go the soaked drained lentils, about 300 mils of water, can of coconut milk. I'm going to mix all these together. Vegetable stock. You want to bring this mixture to a light simmer for about 15 minutes. That's going to cook the lentils and make sure that all the ingredients are cooked through. And that's your base. And this is where we can have fun and add different ingredients. The beauty of this recipe is that it is so flexible. It's more like a way of thinking about cooking. And to this base, you can add multiple other ingredients and different proteins to make it your own. The protein I'm using today is monkfish, but you could use chicken or even tofu as your core protein base that is complemented by the red lentils. And at this point, you've done most of the cooking. The stove is gonna do all the work. As you can tell, the lentils have become lovely and soft. You've got little pops of those mustard seeds that have gone a lighter brown color. Lentils are fantastic for so many different reasons. They're good sources of soluble fiber. They feed your microbes. They've been shown to have a blood sugar balancing effect. They're anti-inflammatory. While that is bubbling away, I'm gonna just quickly prep the fish and the green beans and spinach. You can use so many different ingredients at this stage, and this is why it's a really good way of emptying your fridge. We're gonna start with green beans, but there are lots of different swaps. Roughly chop this. And these go. We're gonna add the fish at the same time that I'm just gonna roughly chop into chunks. I'm using monkfish today, which is a little bit more expensive in terms of the cuts, but you can use cod, hake, pollock. In fact, any white fish will do. Because monkfish is quite a thick piece of fish, the timings are really important. This takes around 8 minutes. But if you're using something like pollock, that might take 6 to 7 minutes. Cod, maybe even as little as 5 minutes. The recipe calls for spinach, but imagine you don't have spinach in your fridge. Let's ask Virtual Dr. Rupy what potential swaps are. A great alternative is baby kale, which keeps that lovely green color and nutrients while holding up nicely in curries. That's very true. Alternatively, you can use Swiss chard, yes. Even finely shredded spring greens, absolutely. Happy experimenting with your greens. Oh. I try and get my greens in every day, as Virtual Dr. Rupy would suggest. They're a great source of vitamin K, folate, magnesium that a lot of people are lacking in. They add extra fiber. We all need to be eating more greens in our diet. And it looks like a lot of spinach, but trust me, it wilts right down. This is ready to serve. I'm just gonna pop this onto a trivet. And there we have it, small bowls. Just imagine bringing this to the table. The smell is going to bring everyone to the kitchen. If you have lime, I'll garnish it with a bit of lime. This is optional. You might be tempted to serve this with rice. I actually don't think it needs anything extra. You've got protein, your vegetables, and a good source of carbohydrates in the lentils. But if you did want to serve it with something, you could use the Doctor's Kitchen daily bread or even some of our oat wraps. The best thing about this recipe is that it literally gets better the next day when everything's had a chance to sort of get to know each other, and those flavors really do intensify. So your leftovers are going to be absolutely smashing, and you can also freeze this as well as a whole curry for when you really are in a rush or you really can't be bothered to cook. Ending the day with a meal like this is going to help you sleep better, maintain your energy levels, and set you up for a great day tomorrow. And if you're interested in other anti-inflammatory foods, I've done a video on my top 10 anti-inflammatory foods that you can watch right here.